ago, they had already distributed more than 120,000 meals to people in Kherson. We taped this yesterday, so here we go. Chef Andres, hello, and thank you so much for stepping away from the important work you're doing in Kherson and joining us this morning.
Thank you very much, Victoria, for inviting me to be with you, to be with all this amazing community of foreign language teachers. I feel humbled by the opportunity, and I look forward to have hopefully a smart conversation in English, which is not my first language, where hopefully you will understand what I'm trying to say.
I have no doubt. Before we get started, can you give us an update on what's happening right now in Kherson?
Well, as you know, we are already almost into the 9th month of this war. Kherson is being the biggest city that was taken by the Russian forces and has been liberated 6 days ago. This is huge for many reasons for an Ukrainian country which is full of beautiful people that they don't deserve to be technically massacred, where schools, they are being shot at, children, elderly, women, you name it. So Kherson is important because came back. Today's been a difficult day, but a great day. Today we were able to bring 120,000 meals into Kherson. This is the 5th day we bring food, but this is very challenging because the roads are complicated. The roads, some of them are destroyed. There are bridges that they're destroyed. So to access the city is not easy. And on top of that, there are mines that still they are being found as we speak. So it's dangerous to leave the road in any moment, even to do something like getting a flower, you cannot do it because you may be putting your life and the life of others in danger. And still the city, again, because of that lack of communication, has infrastructure issues, there is no electricity. Every shop, every supermarket very much is closed. Today is the first day I saw a little gas station, but the line of cars was endless. And still people anyway don't have money. Even if the supermarkets were full, they don't have money. So the process is gonna be slow, but every day you see light. And what we're doing is making sure that we accelerate the system, meaning let's bring food to every neighborhood, to every person. So that's what I've been doing. Tomorrow we are going back with, again, another 100,000 meals. Water is difficult because electricity and other reasons, the filtering and water stations are not functioning. So we need to make sure that they have water. The government will eventually start bringing, and actually they're doing a good job. But again, they are fighting a war, right? So it's difficult to run a government well when you have no war. Imagine in the middle of a war. So that's why organizations like ours will come to help the government, to help the governors, to help the mayors, but more importantly, to help the people. So that's what I've been doing in Kherson. We've been here since day one of the war. When I say here, is World Central Kitchen, the organization I was able to found over 12, 13 years now, where we are an emergency organization. We go to emergencies, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes, but now also things like wars. And I came the first day, the second day of the war, I was in Poland. We crossed, and at the end we had 550 restaurants, more than 500,000 hot meals a day. Then we realized that we had to do more than hot meals, we had to do packs of food. So we began opening warehouses at the same time. And we began making bags to take to places that they could cook. So between the hot meals and the bags of food, we will be delivering 1.5 million to 2 million meals a day. We are already about to reach 180 million meals in Ukraine. And without a doubt, we become the biggest humanitarian organization. But this organization that is with Ukrainians, for Ukrainians, and because Ukrainians. Many we've come from different countries, mainly America, but the organization inside Ukraine is because Ukrainians. I'm very happy to be able to be next to them and help them.
Thank you so much for this important work that you're doing. Honestly, you're a personal hero of mine and to many of the teachers here in our audience. When my kids were growing up, I made sure to cook 3 healthy meals a day, but I viewed it as a chore. After they left the house and grew up, I lost all interest in cooking, and weekday meals consisted of sandwiches, frozen dinners, with meals out on the weekend. But during the pandemic, you inspired me, and likely thousands more, to cook again. I saw you on the Stephen Colbert Show, and you were making grosellas. And your enthusiasm for cooking and your encouragement at a time when everyone was so low helped me rediscover the joy in cooking. What is it about cooking and the preparation of food that has been throughout time and across every culture such a universally uplifting experience?
Okay, Victoria, I hope the explanation I'm gonna give you and the thousands of amazing teachers that help people like me be able to communicate in more than one language. And in a way, helping build longer tables. Because I think people like you that give others the gift of expressing themselves in more than one language, you are breaking down the walls. You are actually creating highways. You are building longer tables and help people to connect with each other. And this is amazing and it's fascinating. But this question, the first moment we receive love in the form of a tangible is when we're born and our mothers brings us to their body and they feed us. And if it's not the mothers, it's the grandmother, or it's the nurse, if the mothers cannot do it, or it's our fathers. But the first tangible we receive is love in the form of food. Think about it. We are highly unconscious. But I sincerely believe that that moment, it's something like gets written down in our DNA. That forever, food is a way we have very often to express love to others. My mom was a nurse, my father was a nurse. Both cook. But I will argue that my mom, she will work, even I would say a little bit harder than my dad. My dad, I could argue, worked 2 jobs instead of 1, but my mom, I could argue, had 2 jobs, because was working outside home and working at home. And doesn't matter how tired my mom was, she always will find a strength to, during the week, make sure we were fed. My father will be more the weekend cook. It's when my mom will take off. But then everybody will help in a way. So you asked me about the power of food and why we love food. I do believe that moment when we're born that we receive so much love in the form of food is what really forever is part of who we are. Was a French philosopher, Beat Savarin, that said, "Tell me what you eat and I'll tell you who you are." And this is no more about what you eat, but how eating and feeding others and being part of a food celebration in a way is making us who we are. When we love to share the table with friends and family, and Thanksgiving Day or any other celebration, it's because that moment is special. When we invite a new friend we met to our table, that's because we want to show respect and love in the form of the best way we can, which is inviting them to our table. So I do believe that food is important because all these things I'm telling you And at the end, obviously, cooking is essential to be able to make it happen. And yes, I'm happy you enjoy this moment with my daughters, where we only were saying, can we share with others in this moment that seems very dark, to sing, to make fun of each other, and to try to cook one meal in real time without cuttings, following a song. We did one and we had fun. And we did it again, and everybody seems to follow us more and more and have fun.
That's such a beautiful answer, and it really speaks to the person that you are. In your daily work with World Central Kitchen, you have helped the world through a pandemic, hurricanes, and natural and humanitarian disasters. You're an inspiration to me and to so many others in doing this noble work. What advice do you have to our language educators who are also doing the noble work of educating our youth to help them stay inspired in their vocation?
Yeah, listen, these last 2 years, they've been brutal for all of us. I think these last 2 years and a half, are giving us a new understanding of appreciating more the good things when we have them. And I think the world is gonna hopefully be a little bit better, even at times seems it's not. Because we are all gonna be remembering how at times we felt darkness and insecurity in a moment that was hard for many people in America and around the world. What I decided to do many years ago in my life is that I was not going to be sitting ill in my sofa watching events happening around me, and especially when I knew I could do something about it. I am a cook, I feed the few, but at the same time, I realized I have the talent to feed the many. Across my restaurant, Jaleo, that I opened in 1993 downtown DC, is a red brick mortar little house, which in 1996, somebody, when they were about to build new apartments above, they realized that that was the apartment of a person, a woman, that seems had her living quarters in the upstairs room and kind of an office in the first floor. They discovered that that building was the missing soldier's office for Washington, D.C. The missing soldier's office was created by a woman that was also part of the flying hospitals during the American Civil War. A nurse, like my mom, that will take care of the wounded, even at times of both sides. Even she was on the Yankee side. And when the war ended, she realized that she had to look for what happened to the many people that lost their lives, to try to bring close into their families. That's why she created the Missing Soldiers Office. That woman was Clara Barton. That woman is the one that created American Records. So sometimes we can be looking at the present to look others to be inspired. And sometimes we can also obviously be looking at the past. But then also we can look ourselves in the mirror. And very often we all argue that we face certain issues that we wonder why they're not fixed. We can look, I don't know, at the mayors or the governors or the politicians or whatever. But sometimes I realize that when you feel like something is not happening, that we need to look around, we need to stop looking around and look ourselves in the mirror and to say, what can I do? Everybody has to take responsibility. I was never the owner when I arrived in Washington, D.C. at the restaurant. I was the chef, but I was a hired guy. But I believe very early on, I always took responsibility, and I was behaving in the restaurant like I was my own. I was almost fired more than once. But to this day, I decided that respectfully, it's okay to say when something is not right or can be improved. I did the military service in the Spanish Navy. Was a dream of mine. They put me cooking for the admiral. Everybody had to do the military service back when I was younger. I grew up in Spain, and this was the admiral of the Spanish fleet. I didn't want to cook. I already was cooking before. I want to go in a boat. But there was a great cook. They say, you're cooking for the admiral. And I'm like, this is unfair. I knock on the door, I told the admiral, I want to go on a boat, and I don't want to go on any boat. I want to go in the training ship of the midshipmen of the Spanish Navy. A 4-mast boat, beautiful, sailing around the Atlantic Ocean, a dream. He looked at me in the eyes and he said, okay, I think this is fair, I'll put you on that boat. That boat was important for me because I understand the power of the team, the power of people coming from different backgrounds. Here you are, a group of people from different backgrounds. In my boat, we had one mission, to bring the ship to safe port. Sometimes the currents will come in different directions. Sometimes the winds will come in different directions. But we all work together to make sure the ship went to safe port. When you are a collective as important as yours, and I will argue, the students of America and the students of the world, they are a very important group of individuals because in your shoulders lies the responsibility of nurturing the future people of the world, the next leaders, the next citizens, the next mayors and presidents, the next doctors and nurses, the next gardeners or farmers, all relies in you. So I do believe it's very important that you take this responsibility seriously and beyond. I know you take it responsible. I know you give your best and then some more. But I will argue that still you have to say, I own this. I own to train and prepare the future citizens that are going to move humanity forward. And anytime I see something has to be changed to build a better world tomorrow, we are going to speak up. So I know it may sound naive, but this is the only thing I ever know what to do. When I went to Puerto Rico, the truth is that for different reasons, even people were trying to do their best, we forgot the people of Puerto Rico. We put together an organization of chefs that we were doing 150,000 meals a day. I wish we did more, but we did impossible under the most impossible circumstances. We took ownership of that moment. When we were not able, we were not even supposed to be there. We made that moment ours. So the challenge I'm giving to you and to everybody is that all of you combined, you have ideas about how to make school systems better or education better. Sometimes you don't have the help or the tools. And I will argue sometimes even the appreciation, where everything is just complicated. And I always believe that big problems have very simple solutions. And I always believe that you need to listen to the experts to fix the problems that sometimes have simple solutions, but some people try to make them like a big thing that can never be overcome. So I would say always step up, always speak up, always work as I did in my ship. Not working as an I, the person, but as we, the people. Why? Because we need you. Why? Because the future of the children of America and the children of the world are going to be in the hands of having teachers like you, getting all our youngsters ready to overcome the challenges of the future. I don't know if this is answering your question,
It was
but
a
I am
beautiful
that
answer.
best, and I endorse this message.
Early in the pandemic, who inspired me personally, I was working in my home office and listening to the news, and they were talking about food lines in the Atlanta area. I live in Georgia. And they were talking about these food lines wrapping around for miles. From 4 in the morning, people were lining up for just 2 bags of food. I sat at my computer and cried for quite some time until I realized that these tears are useless. I could donate money to World Central Kitchen, and also Second Harvest is a local nonprofit in my own community that feeds those that are hungry and in need. It made me feel better to be able to make a real difference in people's lives during that time. Thank you for providing a way for everyday people to make a difference and to help others. So, Jose, I'm sure you experienced many personal rewards from your work in providing food and necessities to people who are suffering. Would you like to share one of your most moving stories with us?
The moving stories come sometimes with hope and a smile at the end. Moving stories like Alondra, who is this young girl that she was barely 12 when, 11 when I met her in Puerto Rico. Her mom and her dad and her aunt, they will have food trucks and they will work with us. And they will go all day to deliver food to different parts around San Juan. And Alondra will stay in one of the kitchens we had, helping make sandwiches. You would think like an 11-year-old, before you know, gets tired and starts or playing or you is getting distracted. But Alondra will never stop. When everybody will take a break, she will keep putting ham and cheese and mayo and wrapping the sandwiches. And she'll start her days at 9 or 10 and be 6 and 7, waiting for her mother and her father, and she will never stop. When we moved to a bigger location, this 11, 12 years old girl, she was not only just one more volunteer. At one moment, she became the manager of one of the big lines that we were making 10,000 sandwiches a day. In one of the lines, we were making many lines. That young girl was in charge of that 10,000 sandwiches a day line. Moments like these are the ones that are powerful, because she didn't have to do it, but she was pushing herself beyond what I've seen any 11-year-old push himself. Obviously, it's heartbreaking when you see moments like what's happening in Kherson. But today, kind of almost I feel everywhere I go, it's like an angel, like a spirit that keeps moving from place to place. Today, I saw another girl that happens, I found her in the line, and we give some candies as they were to the youngsters. And she was super nice, and quite frankly, the children with the soldiers, with anybody that comes to help, they're very thankful. They always come with paintings, drawings, because they feel it's the only thing they can do to thank. And they give you these, and this girl spoke actually very good English. And she was in line just waiting for her bag of food, like the thousands we've been feeding today. But once she got her bag, that same girl, that I think her name was Katya, it's a lot of Katyas, right? Rain began falling. We were distributing food in different parts of Kherson. And I realized that young girl, she self-proclaimed herself a volunteer of World Central Kitchen. And she was with her little brother, and I don't even know where the mother was there and spent the next hour helping deliver the meals to move the lines quicker so people will not get wet. And again, I saw what I saw in Puerto Rico in the heart of, in a body of a young girl called Alondra, almost brought to Ukraine in another body of a young girl that happens, her name was Katya. And those moments almost give me a lot of joy, even in sadness, because it gives you hope that you have here people that in the worst moments of humanity, you see the best of humanity coming through. And very often happens in the young. And very often, even you teach, I'm sure you teach all ages, we know that vast majority in the education part are young people. And I have hope that the world will always be, even has imperfections, the world will always be a little bit better. Because we have young people like this Alondra and this Katya that they are always willing to step up. And like them is millions. So this is what gives me give me happiness and allows me to go bed re-energized and go back the day after saying, it's an army of people with empathy, an army of people that want to build longer tables. I just need to keep joining them every morning.
That's a beautiful story. And that young girl spoke English. So can you think of a time when someone's ability to speak another language, whether it was you or someone else, helped your relief efforts?
Well, I speak myself. I barely graduated from 8th grade. I didn't graduate from high school. I barely made it through the first year. Forget university. In my early years, I learned obviously Spanish, but at the same time, I learned Catalan. I speak both fairly well. I write Catalan a little bit, but it's great I can express myself. At the same time, I learned French, and I was able to express myself. At least I could go to a French restaurant and I could have a smart conversation. I learned French when I was younger. It's not something I practice a lot, but every time I go to French-speaking countries like Haiti, has served me very well. Even in Haiti, they speak Creole, which is a mix of multiple languages. But there, I already show you the power, you know, of being able to have a way to express yourself in three languages. Obviously, English was a language that I've been learning in the form of school. Even at the beginning was French, and then I remember learning English just by buying CDs and reading and singing the songs as I was reading, and that's in a way the way I learned. Even I took some English classes when I came to America. My English was more or less okay, because I'm a guy that I'm never afraid. Even when I don't know the right pronunciation, I express myself. And not being afraid, I think this is good. Obviously, technology has given us a huge thing, which is the Google translation. But if you're patient, it's fascinating to see how you can be also learning a language in the process of using your iPhone and being patient and just letting the machine translate back and forth. But obviously, for us, we very often work in emergencies with teachers, and very often the people we have in countries like Ukraine are people that, or they are teachers that they speak, in this case, English Ukrainian, and for us become essential to be able to communicate. Today, when I got to Kherson, already people know that we are coming, and everybody is no cell signal, and the voice is communicating that we keep coming, and sometimes we find more and more people. It's not in the hundreds, but in the thousands. And everybody's anxious because still they don't know when food is gonna arrive. So, you know, everybody's ready to get any food they can. People have very little food in their homes, if any. And it's a big challenge, because when people are, you know, in a situation like this, and you have thousands of people waiting for you in line, that can be dramatic. And communicating is essential. So in my case, it's not me, but having people next to me that they can understand my English and they can communicate in Ukrainian. They can understand Ukrainian and they can communicate back to me in English. And where I'm kind of in charge of the situation, but at the same time, I'm at the expense of that person, that often they are teachers in the school system, in this case in Ukraine, but it can be anywhere else in the world, and allows me to give a message of calm, of patience, which is not only knowing the language, but also how you communicate and how you express. And for us today it was great because we went down the line, And we were able to tell to everybody, we have enough food for everybody, and we are coming back tomorrow. We came yesterday, so you can't believe it. So there's no need to rush, there's no need to push, there's no need to be impatient. And in this moment, you realize that the control of the word, the control of languages, allows you to give hope and keep people in control and in a peaceful situation when the situation can get actually out of hand. So that's the power of expressing yourself in multiple languages, or when you cannot control the languages you speak to communicate to the people you're trying to help, to be smart enough to have the people that can do that next to you. It's equally as important, or using tech, if the cell signal is working, to be able to communicate through Google Translator. These are one of the many situations where obviously languages, I invite all of you to see We Feed People, which was a documentary that Ron Howard did on World Central Kitchen, where obviously I'm featured a lot in that movie, because at the end, even I was more about World Central Kitchen, was supposed to be more than me. Obviously I'm featured because I'm the founder. And you're gonna see in a moment I have an interaction with this young boy in one of the missions. I'm trying to remember which one, there's so many. I don't remember, it was Wilmington, I think was North Carolina. And this boy, a Latino boy with obviously perfect English, I think born in America, but Latino family, he kept telling me where anybody needed food in his neighborhood. And his moment, like he was like, and I can translate for you. I said, but I speak Spanish. So you will have a laugh when this young kid was not only helping us deliver food and bringing us to every elderly that needed the food, and I was going home to home, but he also offered himself to be a translator. I think you will understand the power of that moment of saying, a young kid saying, and I can translate for you. And me, I answered back to him, but I speak English and Spanish. I don't know if there I was very, in that moment, you know, he was helping me with the food, but he's like, I speak both languages too, okay? But I think in that moment, you are gonna see the power and the importance, Victoria, of what you do. And I want you to watch that documentary.
That's a beautiful story, and for the record, your English is perfect. You're a staunch supporter of immigrant rights, including for dreamers. What can each of us do, especially in our local communities, to increase awareness and progress for this important issue?
Well, I always said that immigration reform is not a problem for America to solve, but an opportunity for America to seize. With immigration, it's nothing new to America. Immigration has been an issue in the history of humanity. It's been always some people that came from far away to join other people. And many civilizations thrived because they had this input of these other people that helped them be better. And when they were needed, they were loved, but then when things got hard, they were kind of, we don't need you anymore. So what's happening in America has nothing to do with America, it has to do with what has happened in the history of humanity. Humans, we are strange creatures, and especially men. With immigration, this is the situation. I like to be pragmatic. We can have forces and voices that try to make it about the right and the left, the Democrats or the Republicans. I'm more the kind of guy that tries to make it about we, the people. Why? Because we have 11 million undocumented immigrants in America. Because America is a country that mainly has been made out of immigrants. or the real Americans were Native Americans. Now you could argue somebody's been here many, 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 generations. Okay, they are more American than me that I just came 30 years ago. But I always believe that we need to build longer tables, no aisles. And the pragmatism I'm speaking, this is the reality. We have 1 million dreamers right now. That they arrive here, not by decision. They were babies, or they have barely conscience, and they came to America. They've gone up, they've gone through school, through university, and many of them are already in the workforce. 1 million is strong, I will argue, Americans already by right, that they make America what it is. Those men and women by now deserve to be part of the American dream. They deserve to be Americans, not dreamers anymore. They are making blue and red states equally. But the sad part is this too, that some of the states are blue, shit, they're blue 51-49. And some of the states are red, shit, they're red 51-49. We need to start telling our leaders and politicians that this is about building longer tables. This is about respecting the people who don't think like you. This is about understanding that if you do it with respect, the ones who don't think like you can enrich your thoughts. And because there is respect in the process, you can enrich them. And that if anybody was so perfect, please tell me what state in America is so perfect that there is no unemployment, there is no hunger, there is not environmental issues, there is no crime. Just tell me one state because I want to move there. The reality is that we all are meant to work together to solve the problems. Therefore, during this pandemic, who works the farms of America? Who works in the fishing boats? Who works in the farms? The truth is that often are undocumented. I know, I've been there. Nobody's gonna tell me. I did a documentary 3 years ago where we went to Congress, the same kitchen that feeds our politicians, senators and congressmen and women. And we went to the kitchen and we took photos of the food our leaders were eating. And we traced that path all the way to the farm it came from. And from the drivers, even some of the cooks, the people working the land, the people manning the tractors, the people driving the workers from their towns to the farm. In the entire chain of production, they were undocumented. Therefore, if our senators and congressmen are being fed by undocumented, wouldn't be pragmatic that we stop that kind of thing we don't want to see, like those immigrants are like ghosts of the system, and you solve the immigration problem once and for all. I do believe the vast majority of Americans will agree with me. Why? Because we all know and undocumented. We all are in contact with undocumented every day. And there are people that they want the same we want to our people. They want for their families the same one we want for our families, which is to take care of the children, to put food on the plate and to be part of the community. So now we need to be talking, yes, we need to have, every country should have safe borders. Yes, every country should have immigration laws, every country, but we need to make sure our politicians create systems that when our farmers need workers, they can have the visa quota so they can bring the people from other countries. This is a way that we make America better, stronger, richer. In the process, this is what happens. If we have a good system of visas, those men and women come from different countries in Latin America. They work 3-6 months. They make money, they save money. They help our farms to be strong, helps the American economy, helps rural America to be better. Then there's one men and women, because they know they can come next year, because it's a revolving door visa, they go back. People want to be in their places they born and they live. They go back. They bring what they learn, and maybe they start a business in their own country. A business that has to do with farming, because the skills they learn in America. In the process, they bring money that they invest in their communities. Those poor communities in places around America, all of a sudden they become less poor. The economies do slightly better. All of a sudden, those economies do better is when the countries around America do better, America will do even better. So you see, what can we all do? Pragmatism, people. We cannot just say we don't want immigrants, but then not being able to have a life without them. We cannot say we don't want undocumented, but then not being able to run functioning cities without them. Pragmatism wins the day. So what that means? That we need to be asking our politicians, well, if you lean Republican, or well, if you lean Democrat. Your role, that's why we put you in power, is used not to finger point at each other for the problems we have, but to give each other hands to solve the problems we face, so immigration becomes an asset to America, not a problem to America. Why does America have a spirit and a foundation that immigrants have to? Therefore, we need to keep solving the problems, transform them into opportunities, and keep dreaming that America will ever be better, because we understand who we are, we understand where we came from, and we can create a good path to a horizon where America will thrive, giving an opportunity to everybody that is already part of America, with an American passport or not. To me, America right now is formed by everybody that wakes up every morning and works hard to give their best to make America better.
That's beautifully said. So you're from Spain. Your roots in Spain inform so much of your success in the United States. What are the advantages of coming from another country in terms of your point of view, how you see things?
So I think, Victoria, always to be an immigrant is something we all need to be thankful for. But at the same time that we are given an opportunity to belong to a place far away from our home, comes with responsibility too. I believe immigrants, if we all will travel the world more, or we will all have the right mix of immigrants in our lives, the world will become a smaller place. Where those people, that's the role immigrants play. The humanity always has evolved around tribes. Tribes that you feel comfortable because you feel protected. But unfortunately, in the DNA of humans, especially of men, they are so protective of their tribes that those that are not like them, or look like them, or speak like them, they are not welcome, or they are not, or they are seen as a threat. I think it still is our animal part, that the protection of your own makes you a little bit extreme. So knowing more people from other parts of the world, people that speak with different language or accent, people that look different than you or have different color of eyes or hair or different religion or different size or different complexity. That immigrants, we are the first step to giving reassurance to those that maybe meet people from other parts of the world for first time, that there is more things that brings us together than things that breaks us apart. So immigrants like me, we are bridge builders. We connect different worlds that sometimes they don't see each other, they don't know each other, and they may be even worried from each other or scared of each other, but actually immigrants, we are like the perfect ambassadors to say, hey, the people over there are not so different from the people over here. And actually we have so many more things that brings us together than apart. So that's the role immigrants play, not in America, but in every country around the world. And that's why we all need to have the feeling and the spirit of an immigrant. The world should be traveling. Every American should be traveling. Actually, you tell me about the new education, I will, and please forgive me for it, but I will stop classrooms. I will say that every teacher, every one of you should get 10, 20 students. And every year you should be given the ways and the permission to travel to far away places, where every children is not learning about another language in the classroom, but in the place where that language comes from. And where every children learns about history, not in a photo or in a book, but going to where the history happened. Imagine where the world and the earth becomes the biggest classroom. That's why immigrants and experiencing other cultures, whereby visiting them or meeting people from other cultures in your home tour, I do believe is essential to build a world with less wars, with more empathy, with more understanding, with more believing that this is one planet. People have a tendency to say we are many races in planet Earth. I'm a firm believer that in planet Earth is only one race, and that's the human race. And that's what brings us together. Everything else, hey, there are more fun things to do to who we are. You may be Christian or Jewish or Arab, Catholic. You may be black or white, Asian. You may be whatever, but we are the human race. And everything else is what makes us unique and interesting. But we are the human race. We are one race.
Your words are music to my ears. Every summer I take my students 20 to 30 to Cadiz in southern Spain, and it changes their lives. It really does. Everything you said was completely true.
I met my wife is from Cali, and every summer I go to Cali.
My students love it. And so your words were music to my ears because I see their lives transformed when I take them there and they come back different people. So we have one final question for you before we close.
All right.
Can you share with us, this is kind of a fun question, can you share with us what is your favorite thing to cook for your family?
Well, I never repeat 2 dishes. So what is my favorite thing to cook for my family? Not necessarily is the favorite thing for my family to cook for. And this is the beauty of family. That you love each other because you speak truth to each other. One of the things that made me who I am was cooking a big paella pan with my dad. I grew up in Barcelona, in a little town called Santa Coloma de Cervelló. It's where I learned Catalan. And my father would cook paella on the weekends for anybody from the same hospital he was working with my mom. My father will never keep track of who was coming. My mother will always be nervous. But Mariano was the name of my father. Who is coming? 10 people or 50? And my father would say, I don't know. My father always had simple solutions to big problems. He will say, if more people come up, get a bigger pan, I add more rice to the pan, like fur. But my father also showed me the power of the fire. I always did the fire. An open fire where my father would cook the paella. I did this often with him. One day I told Daddy, today I want to cook. That day it was windy, it was complicated. It was probably the biggest one he ever cooked. And he said, no, you're doing the fire. I got very upset. He sent me away. They cooked without me and they ate without me. My father at the end called me and said, my son, I know everybody wants to do the cooking, but the most important thing is knowing how to make the fire. Controlling the fire. Control your fire and then you can make any cooking you want. Obviously it was a great learning lesson for a cook in the making. But more importantly, I believe it was a metaphor for life. Master your fire, find your fire, control your fire, and then you can do any cooking you want with your life. I'm telling you this because that dish was a paella. A paella valenciana. A paella that is very traditional in Valencia and has chicken and rabbit and green beans. It's not what people think about paella. and I learned how to make it. And for me, my father was essential in giving me hope and control the fire and believing in myself. Very often I cook these paellas on the open fire in my home. And my daughters were very little when they began helping me making the fire and seeing me making that fire. And gives me joy today as grown-up girls they are. The three of them, two of them are in university and one already graduated. That they love to come back home to keep cooking paella in the same way my father and mother helped me learn how to make paella with them. So if you tell me the dish I love, even sometimes my wife said, can we change the menu on Sunday? Is making paella valenciana in the open fire. And in a way, try to remember those moments I spent with my dad and with my mom when I was a young boy, going forward in time. And that one day I hope, and I think will happen, that my daughters will be teaching their sons and daughters how to make the paella, hopefully with me around still. But if not, I know those stories will carry on the space of time.
That's a beautiful story. And everyone, I love paella, so I'd love to have yours one of these days. We know, Jose, we know how busy you are, and we cannot thank you enough for setting aside time to be with us today. It has been an unforgettable experience talking to you, and we thank you for all of the life-saving work that you do, and for being an inspiration to people all around the world, myself included.
Well, Victoria, thank you for having me. Thank you for being so accommodating. I want to be thanking my friends, amazing journalists from Associated Press, that they are the ones that help me with the chargers, with the lights. We've been very lucky because very often the sirens go. And I'm not gonna lie to you, we're supposed to go to a shelter, but sometimes life is like a lottery. And sometimes you don't know if being in the shelter or not is the right place to be. But we didn't have that siren, and that's good news. That means that people so far, they've been having a good night and they can go to bed not being afraid. So please, the people that may be listening, I'm in Ukraine, and again, you may be independent, you may be a Republican, or you may be a Democrat. This is very clear. The Ukrainian people are wonderful people. I'm very sure it's amazing Russian people. But here is one person, one president, one man that has decided to attack another country that is a country of beautiful people. Schools, they've been shot. Children, they died. Teachers, they died. I got two cooks, two people were with us that they died. Thousands of civilians have died. These wars in the 21st century, they have no place. So let's all believe that building longer tables, speaking more languages, so we can all speak to each other with heart and truth. We cannot be anymore supporting war in any country, but especially right now in Ukraine. These people, they deserve all our support, all our respect. And so please, you want to do something for the world and Ukraine, just pick up the phone and write to your senators and congressmen of either party, and just tell them that you support Ukraine and that we support the ending of the war, and telling President Putin that the killing of civilians cannot be happening in the 21st century anymore. Hundreds of schools have been destroyed, hundreds. Many children, they didn't got education over the last 9 months. This is not the 21st century way. We all need to support Ukraine every single second. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Let's keep making everybody to speak, no 2, no 3, no 4, but multiple languages. And let's make sure that the world, thanks to people like you, can love each other more, can talk to each other more, can understand each other more, can show more empathy every day. And that through communicating, we can all dream that tomorrow will always be a better day than today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Victoria. Muchas gracias. Montes Gracias. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, gracias.
Grazie mille. Dankeschön.
Y buenas noches.
How do we say in Ukrainian? Thank you. Yeah, I knew it. Дякую.
I learned a new word.
Спасибо. That's the Russian one. Oh, hey, we used already so many languages. Bye. See you soon.
Goodbye. Thank you so much.